I wanted to really celebrate people who are living their authentic life, always working towards fulfillment, and really being their authentic selves in their life professionally and personally. Hello, happy Monday. Welcome everyone to the For the Doers podcast. I am Sayda, your host, and I am here with the lovely and talented Janis Sadoyama. Maybe I should just start saying Janis because I think everyone knows who you are.
Right.
I think I just like saying Sadoyama.
I like it. I like hearing it too. I think so perfectly.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming back. And thank you again for engaging with us and all the love we're getting on the episodes. It is fantastic. We're slowly becoming a community of doers and people who support each other and, talk about the things that are important to us, which is, comes from people who are ambitious and really want to live an authentic life. How do you do that? I think we're here to teach each other how we all do it, how we are connected. Really comes up when we start expressing ourselves on how to live authentically and live a life that you don't have to take a vacation from, even though you can take one if you want, but you love your life and you love what you do. That's why we're here. So today, the word of the day is resistance. Resistance is something that I have been struggling with, not just my whole life, but definitely in the last couple of weeks. Janice and I were basically before this talking about how, even though you are a doer and you can be very successful, get things done, but sometimes when you try to level up or you do level up, resistance pops up. It rears its ugly little head. And I'm definitely going through that right now. Um, with doing this podcast and again, being an achiever who likes to do a lot of things, I'm also, making herbal medicine and aromatherapy, and of course, doing this wonderful podcast. And it's difficult sometimes to just make myself do some of the things that I have to do to check off the boxes. Um, because I resist, I procrastinate. If I have to, no, of course, if I get orders for the herbal and aromatherapy things, I fill up those orders really fast. But, like, for example, this week, I am challenging myself to start writing blog posts on the website. And I am saying this on the podcast to hold myself accountable. Because I have been resisting doing this. And I am trying to figure out why. What do you think, Miss Sadoyama?
Oh, I think we'd spoken about it too in the past, like kind of when we worked together in removing some of the roadblocks where
Mhm.
we're so programmed to I think subconsciously or consciously, we're so programmed to pump the brakes when things are uncertain or we're venturing
Mhm.
into a space we're unsure of, especially being outside of a school realm for so long. Like, I think it's different when you're in school and they're like, oh, you should think about things differently, or you're like constantly learning new
Yeah.
things. I think once, we are in the adult realm of having to do the things and, pay the bills and check all the boxes. There's
Yes.
less exploration in what's like, there's less exploration in new things, and it's more of
Mhm.
resistance to, like, oh, I don't, I'm sure I'm uncertain about that. I don't know if we should go down that road. Like, let's just keep our
Right.
head down, get a 9 to 5 job, like, have the
Yes.
benefits and just like put the life preserver on.
Oh my goodness,
So I
yes.
think there's a lot of resistance in that space where it's like, yeah, it's taking a chance. And I feel, you know, when people get older, I hate making it an age thing, but I do feel like, oh, like you have to be more serious, or you should,
Yeah.
have the stability, and you have a house, or you have responsibilities, you have kids, you have family. Like there's big
Adulting.
things, right? There's big
Adulting is
things
hard.
where that all comes into play. And I think, who wouldn't be, fall victim of resistance in those realms when
Yeah.
when you think that there's so much at risk,
Mhm.
or you can't chance certain things. But who's to say that you have to give up something in order to do something
Yeah.
else?
But it feels that way, you know?
Ooh, tell me
It
more. Why?
feels that way because listen, I will be completely honest with myself and everyone else. Like, I try to do a lot because I don't feel good unless I'm involved in doing something. But then, you know, sometimes it is kind of reality in a way, is like it gets to you as an adult, like, I gotta put the laundry away, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, you know. And then when you put the things you want to do all there, all up in the middle of that, something's going to fall off. And it's usually what you have less of a sense of urgency to do. And sometimes those are the things that you know will make you fulfilled and happy, unfortunately. That's what I mean by that. Because I got to go to the post office. I got to do this. I got to do that. And that alone, I mean, hello, I live in LA. That is 3 hours.
Right.
So the time, and sometimes it is about age. I know that I have less energy to do things. I also have a lower tolerance, which, and by tolerance I mean like a lower tolerance in like not wanting to work 24/7 and hustle 24/7 because I'm recovering from that from that hustle because I also want to be good to myself. But then I start telling myself I'm not doing it. It's like
So what I'm
that
hearing
part.
is you want off the roller coaster.
Yes.
But I think too, I think it's such a, as even though it doesn't feel like it, and it feels overwhelming, and sometimes it's like, oh, like you have that guilt of like, I should be doing more, or
Yeah.
there's more things that I want to do. I think coming at it from a different perspective of, well, how cool to want more, as opposed to
Oh,
like
yeah.
just going through the motions of like, okay, like cool, like check today off, like nothing really to look forward to tomorrow. It's the same old shit. But,
Yeah. Oh my
you know,
god.
but
I
I
would
think
die.
that ache inside of like, oh no, like I want to do this, or I want to learn more about X, Y, and Z, or do something. I think that those nagging voices, I think it's a cool thing to have, even though it feels debilitating and annoying because it's like you feel like
Mhm.
you're behind. But
Yeah.
I also think
Always.
that's, but it's also a space of, well, then you're meant for something bigger too.
True.
As
True.
exhausting as that sounds,
Yes.
but taking it
Yes.
step by step, right? Like my girlfriend always used to say, like, how do you eat an elephant? And I was like, oh, here we go. Like, yes, yes, like chunk it out, small pieces at a time. That's true. It's like, things, it's the little things that add up to being the
Yeah,
big things.
yeah.
So I think
No,
chipping away
yeah.
the resistance versus like thinking you can, and more power to the people who can bulldoze the resistance. It's like, oh, we're going through it.
Yes. No, I mean, yeah, I have people like that. I mean, my husband is like that. You just tell him something and he just starts doing it right away. I'm getting better at that, because I've been a lifelong procrastinator, just not wanting to do the hard things. I remember when I was younger and in a way younger, in a review that I received, it says, you have to figure out how to do the things you don't want to do. Still remember that because I'm like, I don't know that I've figured that out 100% yet. But there's also, I think a lot of it is fear, also. It's fear of the unknown, you know?
So I have a question about procrastination because I do it too.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'm curious if, yeah, because you're like, oh, I don't know if that'll change, or I do you think that part of you enjoys leaving things to the last minute because you know that you'll Hail Mary touchdown that thing when it's like time to, like, when it's time to make shit happen, you're like, "Oh, I could do it. It's just a matter of me like having to do
That is true. I don't like
it."
it.
But it's the capable part of like, "Oh, I hate procrastinating too," but it's like, "Oh, I know. Like I'm good. I'm going to make it happen."
I don't like it, but I know that that's exactly what it is. It's just like
Guilty. So
late,
guilty.
last minute, let's just get it done. I don't want to do it. Um, yeah, that's part of it. And again, I do not like it, but I know that I'm capable of doing it at the last minute.
Yeah.
Um, Personally, that's something that I would like to break in myself. Even though it comes in handy. I worked in retail for so long,
Mhm.
and a lot of it comes from that because you never know what's going to come up.
Yeah.
And a lot of us don't like to admit it, but we love it. We love that,
That rush.
having to learn how to be resourceful and, coming up with a solution at the last minute. But it doesn't always work. And I think what I don't like about it is the stress that comes with it. Not fun. um, so I always, one of my mantras to myself is like, do it for future you. So that future you doesn't get stressed. And sometimes when I do, and I have been trying to practice that a lot more. And when I am really prepared, I'm so grateful to myself because I'm like, thank you, past me. You saved me from so much stress. I know I shouldn't talk in the third person because it sounds weird, but
No, it's true.
it is what it is. And when I started thinking about it that way, I have improved
That
in
sounds great.
procrastinating. In I'm not saying I've completely gotten rid of it, but I have definitely improved.
That's
And also understanding that it's coming from fear, sometimes fear of success or fear of failure.
How does
Fear of
past
failure
you deal with resistance
by preparing
for future you?
for future me, you know?
Mm.
And that's with a lot of different things, even mundane things that, I don't want to do. I hate sitting in front of the computer and paying bills and, you know, doing the things, just paperwork and things like that. Bleh, get it out of here. But that's life, and that's, maturing also, and seeing that it's not always going to be easy. And I think a lot of our society has gotten into this thing where, things have to be easy. And they're not. That's not life. That's no life, you know. Um, I'm trying to think of a from my self-help days because I used to be so into self-help. Um, where I don't remember the general, I think it was Jim Rohn said something like, "Oh, good. If you don't want to take any risks, and do anything, just sit in a corner. We'll feed you and bathe you." And, but you're never going to live. You're never going to live life until you take some risks and you know, look at the challenging things as an opportunity. And I know that sounds trite, and that's not self-help. That's just life and how to cope with life. We all get things thrown at us that we don't like and we don't want to deal with. But taking the good with the bad, I think I was saying that I don't remember which episode that I said, a compliment to me should be just as good as an insult
Ooh,
because
Naval.
was that a Naval thing?
Yep.
Yeah.
I just read that the other night.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
I mean, that's how you should live. It should come from you, whatever you are trying to achieve, whatever you're trying to get to. It shouldn't be like, well, they think I'm amazing, so I'm amazing. That's hollow. Never going to get you anywhere. And just really realistically, and that's why I said I used to be into a lot of self-help because that becomes a crutch for a lot of people too. And the bottom line is action. That's what it is. Action.
Right. But I think too, it helps you to move out of that space. Like
Yeah.
e- we talked about it last week about, doing the things that feel good, whether it be walking or exercising or something where it's like, yeah, you
Mhm.
begrudgingly there's resistance there. You don't really want to do it.
Yes.
But then
Woo.
the aftermath of it is like you never regret doing it. Like it feels so good
Absolutely.
to do it or get the thing done. It's a different frequency you operate from.
What was that quote you were saying earlier? Nobody said it would be easy.
They just said it would be worth it,
Yeah.
right? We're so programmed, I think, to like to expect resistance or to
Mhm.
like, oh, you like it's already in that term, right? You got to work hard, the hard work, like the hustle, the grind, all the
Yeah.
things. And I think we kind of mentally set ourselves up for the resistance to happen and the challenge to be there. But I think if we approach it a little bit differently, and I know it doesn't sound realistic sometimes because it's like, oh, okay, you're going to sit there and think like everything's sunshine and rainbows. But I think if we approach it more of, hey, you know what? It's not, I don't know this, or, I'm going to need more information. I'm going to prepare a little bit more, or I'm going to
Mm.
get the information or knowledge that I need to feel confident to take the next like three steps. It's a different
Yes.
trajectory than like, oh, that's weird and that's unknown and I don't want to adventure there.
Right.
We're not going to go down that pathway.
Which I think is okay too, because
Mhm.
sometimes you're just not ready. And that, if you're a doer, that is hard
Oh,
to
that's
like
true.
admit that you're not ready.
Yeah.
And that's something that that challenges me also, is just like, maybe you're not ready.
Yeah.
That's
I think
okay.
there's a little bit of liberation in that too, where it's coming to church, like being honest with yourself and like knowing. But then it's like, could you ask for help? Could you call somebody to be like, hey, I have this idea, or I want to do the thing, but I'm stuck.
Yeah. Oh, now I'm better. That used to be a thing that I always resisted was asking for help.
Mhm.
I would go to Google before I could go and ask somebody I know who could actually help me.
That's resourceful. There's a lot of people on the Googles that'll help you and the
Don't take away
YouTubes.
my Google. I am not putting it down at all. But But relationships are incredibly important, obviously, to really helping yourself get beyond some of those issues and that resistance. You know, relationships, the people around you, we will always talk about that because I am the firmest believer that if you don't have good relationships, it's really difficult to have success. And you know, it's not just, it is about you because it's your life, but you don't exist on your own. We all need each other. It's different right now because we're all online and we have our own pods now, a lot of us, even though the pandemic seems to be waning. But we've all changed. We need to reach out to each other. You don't get success on your own. I don't believe that you can do that. You need other people. That's part of my recipe to, having success in so many different projects and situations. It's always the people, and the successful people that I know that are really successful, it's the people that you have around you. You know, do you have a friend who says, when you are resisting, who says, girl, you don't need that? When it's something that is incredibly important to you, or do you have someone who says, hey, take a break and then get back to it?
Yeah.
But that's a whole other
Yeah.
can that we
But
don't
I
want to
think
open today.
but I think we'll just put it on the shelf though, because we're gonna open it
Yes.
eventually. Uh, but I think too, it's like the people like going back to what you said about relationships and having the people around you, the right people around you when you want to move out of the resistance too. They
Yes.
don't have to have all the answers, but it's like, oh, having a sounding board or having a space and a place where you trust who you're confiding in, or
Oof. Trust.
like I think that's a big deal too. And I think
The
we're
trust.
so self preserving and self protecting that sometimes,
Hmm.
resistance is a hard thing to tackle, but it's also not an easy thing to tackle if you don't trust the people around you,
Deep,
right?
deep.
Which I'm thankful. I'm so that and then it like makes you appreciate the people that you lean on and lean and turn to like that much more.
Yes. Yes.
Because
And
it
like
is
I said,
few and far between people. Like it's
well, because it's not saying that there are people around you who are bad. I don't know who you are and who you have around you, but you have to be careful with who you trust with your deepest feelings, I mean, don't let anyone who said that, don't let anybody walk around your brain with dirty feet, you know? There are
uh,
people in your life who care about you, but they don't realize that they're seeing you. And this goes out mainly to people who are ambitious. There are people in your life that could be related to you, they could be your best friends forever, but they see you in their own way and they have a picture of you that might not be the picture of you that you want to have anymore, that you want to hold on to anymore. And they're thinking through their filter. That might not be the best for you, which is why I always go back to being, the Naval quote, just being self-referral, because you know what is good for you. You know where you want to be. And you can love your friend or family, whoever it is, and say, I love you. Thank you so much. I'm going to do what I need to do for me. Think we all, go through that, but we have to be incredibly careful because you never know what someone's motivation, somebody's personal motivation what they're projecting onto you, that is all their stuff. Has nothing to do with you. It's their stuff. It's their opinion based on their experience. And that experience will never be your experience. Bloop.
Go back and read, because that just, I feel like that just pulls everything full circle to what you looked up when you looked up um
Oh,
resistance and behavior,
let's see.
and it's speaking about the ego. Because,
Hmm.
like, when other people push their stuff on you, it's like, oh, well, that could be their resistance getting chatty box set towards you, like,
Interessante. Okay, let me read it. This is from when I looked up, Googled, of course, resistance in behavior on Wikipedia. Well, on Google. And it came up in Wikipedia. Resistance in psychoanalysis refers to oppositional behavior when an individual's subconscious defenses of the ego are threatened by an external source. Oppositional behavior when an individual's unconscious defenses of the ego are threatened by an external source. Muy interesante. That's loaded because wow. I mean, you are protecting your ego. Um Deep down, that's what we're doing because that's our friend. That's with us all the time.
totally.
you know what did you get out of that statement?
Well, I think there's always stuff coming at us, like, directly, subconsciously, unconsciously, but like reading things, and like, depending on where our headspace is, some words and some things carry more weight than others.
Yes.
So I think resistance comes when it's like, I think, like, we seize up a little bit when, you know, there's a threat. Like, we feel like either it's true, like there's some truth to it, and we're
Hmm.
like, ooh, that hits home, right? Where you're like, that is so real. That's so, like, appropriate to me. Or
Yeah.
it's, and it might not just be these two things, or it's, you know, I'm not like, it's an uncomfortable thought or concept that I may not be privy to or experienced in the past. So it could be like the discomfort of it being so real and so close to home, or the also the
Hmm.
discomfort of, like, it being foreign and not being used to it,
Yeah. Yeah.
or something that's so different from, like, the way you would usually go about things, or, you know, a different thought process or a different perspective, and it's like, ooh,
Triggered.
yeah. So
I
I
hate
think
using
it's,
that word, but
yeah.
but that's what it is. Yeah, it could be bringing up some fear in being right or being wrong, or
No,
something
absolutely.
you just don't want to deal with right now, which is okay. But I think you should just explore it, you know, especially when you do feel that way. Explore it for yourself. How does that make me feel? Not how does that make my mom feel or my
Yeah.
husband or my best friend. Like, how does that make me feel? Why do I feel this way? And that's just part of growing as a person.
Yeah. I think that's always gonna be, like, the first step too, right? Like, sit down and,
Hmm.
like, ask yourself that. Because I feel like recognizing it and like, just putting it out there and being honest with yourself is the
Hmm.
first way to be able to tackle either moving through it or past it or growing from it, whatever the case may be. You, like, have to acknowledge it first.
Yes. 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 Huge, huge part and exercise when you're doing the work to get to know yourself better And wow, what an amazing way to move forward is just being honest with yourself. That takes away so much stress when you just say, here we go. I'm triggered by blah, blah, blah. I'm triggered by someone saying this or whatever. And that's my thing that I can work on. Can't replace that. It's gold. I mean, for me, and I'm speaking from experience, it's gold to just look at those triggers and say, why am I doing this? Why does this upset me? Why does someone saying that to me or even to someone else, like, why am I triggered by that? And being honest, because then you can decide what to do with it. Can't control everything that comes at you. It's part of life.
Yeah, but then there's ability to control like your reaction to it or how you can
And
move through
that's
it.
it.
That's a big
Mhm.
thing.
That's the huge thing and the best thing because the more we just live these days and have so much thrown at us, that's literally what we have to do is really control our own reactions to everything. And on that note, I think that's going to be it for today. I love that conversation though.
Me
There's
too. It's so
some,
it's so appropriate, and I feel like it's
yeah,
something that happens to all of us
to
pretty
all of
often.
us. We all resist, I believe. We all resist. So my action after today is going to be to start some blog posts. They will be
Ooh,
up by the time we come back next week, next Monday. Just whatever thoughts come after we have these conversations, whatever realizations come. Um, I've been, trying to make myself do this. Probably fear of failure in my mind. But I'm holding myself accountable by saying it here in this
oh,
space.
don't worry, I'm gonna hold her accountable too.
Oh, I know. Lord, I know. Thank you, Janice. Always good to hear your words of wisdom. And I will put up I think I'm just every episode I'm putting up this Ikigai worksheet because I think it's really I have recommended it to so many people. It doesn't matter what your experience is, it is so wonderful to start digging into yourself and why you do what you do and who you are because it just makes you so much more calm and happy and fulfilled when you know yourself better and better and you're doing the things that you want to do. So thank you for sharing that, Janice, and we will
Absolutely.
continue to share it again with everyone else.
Yeah.
Have an amazing week, everyone. Let's put out some good energy to each other. The world is, as usual, the world has a lot going on, but I hope you have a fantastic week. Take care of yourself, listen to yourself, be good to yourself. And that's it. Have an amazing week. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe and be good to yourself. Thank you. Bye, everybody.